Saturday is what my grandchildren call the Grandma Joanne. It's rainy, it's nasty. Sunday, you don't get out of your pajamas.
Yeah, I didn't leave the house. But I wanted to cook because I didn't cook all week in the same hope this entire week. I'm not cooking either. Okay. Well, have fun.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, well, let's see. Wait, Nick has to.
I was,
Oh, well, here comes Mike.
Eddie, look at my hand, sign language.
okay,
Okay,
Sign language.
should we start? And Michael Russo is
Yes.
coming, I think.
Michael Williams is coming
You
up.
can start.
Okay.
I can start?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Transportation Committee meeting of Community Board 13. We have a quorum, so we could start and, we're gonna start with our
Can you
agenda.
remind people about FOIA?
Yes.
They're being recorded.
Yeah, right now, everyone, we are being recorded. If anything's being said, on the chat or on Zoom, it can be for at a later date.
Okay, so we're gonna start with update of MTA. We're gonna wait for Nick to come in. He just stepped out for a second. He's back first or no? Rhonda will be here or she?
No, she's gonna be online. Is Rhonda online?
I'm here,
Hi, Rhonda.
online.
Yeah.
I couldn't use the link in the agenda. It didn't work, so I had to dial in.
Thank you.
Peace, understand.
Hannah, the other person might be,
Till you come again.
It's not letting me do this.
if not, kick him out or her.
It's penis, 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 penis. Penis, 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 penis.
Oh, look at her.
That's it.
I don't
Watch it.
think
That
so.
means
Somebody's on
somebody
the
else
phone.
is gonna be hacking too, so be very careful.
Oh, we've been
Just-
hacked. Wow.
We've been hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. So we're gonna start with Mr. Nick Rollison, representative from MTA. We submitted a few questions prior to the meeting, so we would like to hear the answers. Nick,
Great.
if you can, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for letting me go first at the top of the meeting. For those of you I haven't met yet, nice to meet you all. I think I met everybody here as a small picture on the
Yeah.
computer, but it's nice to meet everybody in the offices again. So again, my name is Nick Rollison, Assistant Director of Government Community Relations at the MTA. I got this list of questions from you guys prior to the meeting. I know that the main topic of conversation that Eddie was asking about was the summer service. I know that we talked briefly at the Alliance meeting last week about this, so we were there yesterday and heard this whole thing already. I apologize for the duplicative conversation. But I did want to highlight the summer service, starting trains coming in and out of Stillwell. Should I take a pause for a second? So
That's all right.
here, I want to make sure everybody's
Suck you dry.
Hannah, just watch this. Again?
Yeah.
okay, cool. So
Ridiculous there.
the questions were about service going to and from Stillwell Terminal. Just wanted to give some background that over the summer, we have 4 lines that serve the terminal. When we have all the trains operating, Coney Island is served by a train on average of every 3 minutes. During beach season, we have a policy to reduce the amount of work that we're doing on particular lines, so that on any given weekend, only one line is interrupted and we don't have multiple outages at the terminal during beach season. When one line is out, Coney Island Stillwell is still served by a train on an average of every 4 minutes per day in both directions. And again, that's during the summer season. So the big outage that we have during the summer season, this is the last year of the Culver CBTC installation and those outages, which will be affecting the terminal. So I'm just gonna read, this is our forecasted list of the weekends in which the F train will not continue to Stillwell Avenue. These are usually, I'm sure people are familiar with this operation by now. The train is usually ends at either Kings Highway or Church Avenue, depending on the operation. So I'm going to read you the forecast for the summer, and I just want to emphasize the word forecast because, if Hurricane Sandy comes back and we have to, not work on a particular weekend for some, weather reason or anything like that, this could change. But I just wanted to give you a sense of what we were talking about for Culver CBTC. So these are the weekends that start on June 1st, June 29th, July 6th, July 13th, August 10, August 17, August 24, August 31, and 9/7. And I can provide these in writing to you as well, in case anybody didn't
Yes.
catch that. But, so those are the weekends that the F train is not serving Stillwell Avenue. The other three trains will be serving at that time, and obviously, we've had the shuttle bus operating for the last year. I think everybody's familiar with that, but if anybody wants more information about that operation, please let me know. You also, there is other track work that will be impacting the terminal. I don't want to sit here and go through all of these because most of these are very minor and have very little impact, but generally speaking, and again, I can provide all this to you in writing, Eddie, after the meeting, but June 4th, we have, the end is terminating at 86th Street. There would be a bus from 86th Street. This is, if anybody's familiar with the work with the D and the N, alternatively go out of service for work on the creek, on the bridge. Tuesday, the 11th, the D is operating only to Bay 50th Street with a bus in between Bay 50th and Stillwell Avenue. On June 20th, which is a Thursday during the day, we have, the B train is terminating at Kings Highway, and the Q is terminating at Brighton Beach. And there's the bus between Brighton Beach and Stillwell Avenue. On July 2nd, middle of the day, it's the same thing again, 86, the N operates to 86th Street. On the July 18th, we have the Q operating to Brighton Beach and the B operating to Kings Highway with a bus between Brighton and Stillwell. On August 6th, Tuesday during the day, we have the N is operating to 86th Street. So it's a bus from 86 to Stillwell. You'll hear that repeated. The August 13th, the D is terminating at Bay 50th Street with a bus between Bay 50th and Stillwell. And then Thursday, August 15th is the B operating to Kings Highway, Q operating to Brighton Beach with a bus between Brighton and Stillwell. So that's all the track work over the beach season. You'll see that with the exception of Culver, we try to keep it to middle of the day on random work days as opposed to interrupting, the weekend schedule. So that's a very brief review of service. We also got a question that was about let me see, how did they word it here? It was a request to increase bus and subway service on weekend during summer season. So we have found that the ridership, that the service that we're providing serves the ridership adequately. Obviously, as we've been coming out of COVID and ridership patterns have been changing basically every year. If people, have been experiencing any particular, crowding conditions on any of the trains, obviously let us know that. We rely on the ground reports of people who are using the system day in and day out. But right now, we feel confident that this service plan will be, adequate to serve to service Stillwell Avenue during beach season. So I will pause there about beach season generally. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns. Yeah.
I have a question. So you mentioned that the subway services, it's every 4 minutes.
That's right.
But that is on weekday or on weekends?
That is,
3 a.m.
and not at 3 a.m.
Not
Yeah.
at 3 a.m.
Yeah, this is during regular hours.
Not during regular hours on my
Yeah.
schedule.
That's true. Rush hours, I should say. It says on any given weekend.
On the
but
weekend as
If
well?
there's a specific time frame that you're concerned about, you could.
No,
let
just
me know.
generally,
Yeah.
it's also on the weekend. And
Yeah.
also I would like to ask about the B36, because on the weekends it's every 24 minutes.
Yes,
And that is not, is it possible for the weekends? At least people would come from the everywhere, at least maybe like at least 10 minutes.
yes.
Could it be increased? Because I take it on the weekends, it's every 24 minutes.
We've heard a lot of concerns about the B36 and I hear you. I will say that in our current capital plan, there is money allocated for more buses and more bus operators.
Mhm.
We're in the middle of hiring 2,000 new bus operators. So we're hopeful that as that process is going forward, that we'll be able to, provide faster, more reliable service. I can't commit to a particular schedule
Understand.
right now, but I can just say that we hear the frustrations that have been coming from the board about, particularly the B-36 lately.
Mhm.
And I just want to let you know that it is a high priority of us to make sure that, where there needs to be more buses, where there needs to be more operators, we're working on making sure that that is a priority, and then hopefully that will, provide a better product moving forward.
Do you think that it's reasonable to expect that by the beach season, at least there will be a little bit of improvement, or that is work in progress that you cannot?
We're hiring bus operators now. I'm personally unaware of
Understand.
where people are getting stationed at any given moment. But it's not unreasonable to think that, people who are based out of Ulmer Park couldn't be hired by, the next 2 months. So it's plausible.
Thank you, thank you. so much.
Excuse me for a second. Can you tell him where he can plug that up?
Oh, over here, you can plug right over here. This is the plug.
you need to ask.
Plug.
Betty, you sure that's safe there?
You want to plug here?
Did you have to ask him?
You can plug.
Yeah, you can plug it right there.
Yeah.
Eddie's telling you to plug it there.
So with the bus schedules as it is, let's say we have no new buses added to it and every 24 minutes, can we avoid bus bunching? Because it takes an hour to go from West Fifth to West 29. I mean, it's the same time as you walk. So bus bunching is the major problem for B-36.
Yeah, we hear you. It's a complaint that we've heard a lot, especially over the last year. Bus bunching there's usually operational concerns that cause that, whether it's a bus where there was no operator available to do the run, or if there's traffic, especially on beach season, we get traffic issues a lot. So if the traffic delays the bus, that'll cause bus bunching where they have to ride right behind each other. Did I
Right
have
here.
something?
Yeah, behind you here.
Oh, thank you. My keys. Can't leave that. So yes, we hear you on the bus bunching
Bus
issue.
bunching in the winter time when there is no traffic. So
Yeah.
it's not because of traffic, it's something else.
It could
And
be
it's
about
much
operator
winter too.
availability.
People taking car because they can't rely on the bus schedule.
Yeah, we hear you, and hopefully with the new hires, we'll have more reliable service coming soon.
Just keep the existing schedule, even before you have the new hires, just please focus on the schedule and getting bus time.
I hear you. Yep,
Two questions.
Yep.
First question is it possible to delay or postpone the July 6th closing of the F line? That's gonna be a 5-day weekend for Coney Island. That's gonna be the busiest weekend in
Yeah.
Coney Island between the hot
I
dog
agree.
eating contest. And it's just gonna extend the entire weekend. So is it possible to just postpone it 1 week?
I can't say yes or
I
no to
know
that,
you
but
can't
I'm
say
gonna,
yes,
I'm gonna
but we
take that
need-
back.
That is a very important weekend for Coney Island.
The contest is on the 4th, which is a
It's a
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday,
So it's gonna be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay,
yeah.
it's gonna be a long weekend, and the more people you get in Coney Island, the happier everyone will be. I'm closed,
Yeah,
doesn't make a difference to me,
okay,
but it's good for the neighborhood.
yeah. I appreciate the feedback, and I'll send that to.
July
operations.
6th, it's just, you know.
4-day week.
The only thing I will say is that when I get a request like that, I always have to warn you that if they say, okay.
The depth is, I know that.
No, what I was gonna say is that if we move this, then I have to add another weekend at the end.
Another
So,
weekend won't matter. but
Yeah, right.
July 4th is the busiest weekend,
yeah,
okay, unless the weather's bad, then you can do what you want.
yeah, and then,
But,
Do whatever he
Okay.
wants. I don't
okay, yeah, I'll
care.
take it back. Thank you for
Do it.
flagging that.
all right, July 6th is not gonna be, it's gonna be 6th and 7th,
And
it's not gonna be a good weekend.
Right,
Yeah.
People wanna get to Coney Island, they gotta stop at Kings Highway and then take a bus,
Not
they
gonna
wanna get to
happen.
Coney Island,
right, yep.
okay? If they can do it overnight, I don't know if they do overnight, but, you know,
and with that mentioned, the Labor Day weekend is going to be on the 31st of August.
Yep,
So if that could be delayed too, because that's the last hurrah of summer
okay,
for the area, so just move it another weekend on the end point so that they won't, yeah, that's a,
second part question,
Yeah.
continue what she said. Ulmer Park already has the accordion buses, right, where they have larger buses, couldn't they just add those, or that route can't take those buses?
Well, that's a really good question. Right now, the answer to that question is about the availability of those buses. We don't have enough of those
I
buses to
understand.
go through the whole.
But I know the B1 has them, and that's in Menlo Park,
Yeah,
so they have it on that, and I live in that neighborhood, I live on 86th Street over there.
yeah,
So those buses are always full.
Yep.
Even with the extended buses, they're still full.
yes,
You know, the 36 is a Coney Island bus that
Yep.
goes to Marine
Yeah.
Park there. They, instead of putting more buses, just put a bigger bus. That's,
Yep.
you would need less operators. I understand it's availability of the equipment. I understand that 100%.
I appreciate it. I mean, you summarized it well. As I mentioned, we have more buses coming in with the new capital plan, electric buses, articulated buses. So we're basically upgrading the entire fleet. So hopefully you'll see improvement relatively soon. You know, I can't promise for this.
I'm not asking for promise.
Yeah.
You don't ask, you don't get.
I know, exactly. Yep, exactly.
Well,
You have to
frequency
do.
is important too, though.
Yep.
Frequency is important. And also, I wanted to ask, when is the Mermaid Parade?
22nd.
22nd, is there
22nd.
anything
No.
scheduled for that? No.
Not for October,
Oh,
no.
God forbid.
I know.
That day off.
I was gonna say, I think we had that problem last year. Yeah.
Yeah, we had it
Okay.
last year. I was on it, so
Okay.
it did
Yeah.
move.
Understood.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The new hires, the 2,000 new hires,
Yeah.
are they ready to go or are they in training?
They're in training now. They're being hired
So
now.
what's the timeline to get these other hires in?
It's a rolling basis. It could take several months to get everybody hired. But I can't speak to a specific timeline, but it could take months.
To take ones?
And what is the training time?
The training time for an operator, I don't know. I'd have to get back to you about that.
Oh, we
This
had
is
a head up
2,000
meeting.
per person, It's not
Okay,
2,000.
Lucy,
Okay,
then,
thank you.
Lucy, then Minnie.
So you said it's 2,000 new employees possibly, right?
That's right.
How many are designated for our area?
I wouldn't be able to answer that. It depends on where there's need in the depots.
Yeah, well, we would like to know that eventually.
Yeah,
when it's gonna be designated, because we're always left at the bottom of the barrel. On Stillwell, they're doing, I don't know what they're doing up on the
The crane,
tracks or
the crane.
whatever.
Yeah.
When the heck is that gonna be finished?
That's track.
Every weekend, I mean, come on, you're closing down that whole street every weekend.
Yes, we appreciate your patience. That's.
There is no patience, but thank you.
That's for track replacement work. We have to place the tracks, it's above ground, there's panels. So we have to place the track panels in the street, pull them up on the crane, take the old ones, pull them down. That is going until, the last one that we have scheduled, I believe, is this first weekend in June. Which the date is escaping me, is that the weekend of the 3rd? So that's the last one that I have scheduled. But I always have to warn people that track replacement is ongoing.
So this is the beginning of June.
Mhm.
Isn't there a holiday in between there?
Memorial
Day
Day.
weekend.
All days must be.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing any work on that.
If you give me 2 seconds, I can tell you the level.
Yeah, because if it's Memorial Day weekend, there's another moving along schedule for us, please, because I mean, I get to Stillwell and I can never make a left and I start screaming.
Yeah, I can hear you, Lucy.
I'm sure you do, but that's my own fault because I should know it's there.
Is on May 25th. Is a Memorial Day weekend.
So the
Just
next weekend
weekend,
should
yeah.
be the last one.
That's it.
So it's this weekend, the 18th. No, that's the last weekend that we have it listed.
That's it.
It was the 18th of May.
The 18th
This
this weekend,
weekend.
yeah.
Okay, that's great. So I also have a question, sorry I have a question, the phenomenous. The Coney Casino people claim that they reached out to you guys, that they're having some magical F expressed through you guys. Is that, have they had discussions with you? And if in fact, what type of discussions, if you don't mind disclosing?
I have not had any interaction with the casino. Nobody in government relations has had interaction with the casino. That doesn't mean that somebody at the chairperson's office didn't necessarily have a conversation, so I can't say whether or not a conversation did or didn't happen. Is there a particular concern that you have about the conversation with the F Express?
You don't really want.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want the
Well,
express, I don't want the casino.
I want to tell people back at the MTA what
I
I
would
heard.
really appreciate it if it comes across your desk at any moment that you notify this office. As to what what is their plan with you guys, or they're implementing or discussing with you, if you can pass that through here,
Sure.
considering everything's held right now to 2025, but you know, the more we know ahead of time, the better we are.
Right, I don't think that anybody would have any formal conversations with any of the bidders for the casino bid, prior to, you know,
Well, their,
award.
their logo on their flyers say, we're bringing the F Express here. If you, I can give you that flyer if you like it.
Sure, yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, Eddie, when you print that out from when you get a minute, it says, we're bringing it. But apparently they work for MTA as well, so thank you.
Express, Express ends at half.
May I unmute Minnie?
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
Minnie wants to ask a
Minnie?
question.
yes.
Minnie, go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering if you could address the issue of pedestrian safety. A woman was hit by a bus on the terminal on Mermaid Avenue, I think, in Stillwell. And is the accordion buses, do they pose a hazard? How is the DOT addressing this issue?
It's not the,
I
this is
can't
MTA.
speak to the DOT component of that. I can speak to the bus component of that, which is that.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, the articulated buses are safe for regular use on DOT streets. We use those buses throughout the city in a variety of different traffic patterns. I'm not familiar with the particulars of that incident, so I'd have to learn a little bit more information before I talked about a cause or anything like that. But to the point of your question, those buses are used throughout the city in a variety of ways, and they've proven safe.
Well, what do you have any statistics about accidents with buses and pedestrians? Is that an issue that the city has a problem with?
I don't have any statistics ready in terms of pedestrian involved incidents with buses, but I could check and see if we have that available.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
So we go over the questions.
Yes, okay,
Some of
so-
it you already answered.
Yeah.
Some of it, yeah.
Some of this was topics from the last conversation, from the last time we met, and I'm happy to continue talking about that. Just a couple of quick notes about some of these things. The overcoating project for 2024-2025. I assumed that was about Kings Highway. I brought the flyer for the board, just so you had it. This is our community flyer that we've been handing out along McDonald Avenue as we've been going through the abrasive blasting. Right now, we're still pretty far north of CB 13, but the goal is to eventually come down here south of Avenue Y, but after the summer. So this is just our project where we're removing the lead paint from the overhead structure on the F line, putting a new coat in, and we're doing the entire line from Kings Highway down to Avenue X. So I'll leave this here.
Okay,
Yeah,
Cal.
I think you have a digital
Yeah, we
version.
put it
Yes,
in,
Maybe
use it.
put it in the community letter.
Yeah.
maybe. But is there any maintenance of the protection when that lead paint is being taken out?
Yes,
and then-
absolutely.
so-
If anybody's familiar with the project, a lot of times I get this request to do this on the Brighton line, to do the lead abatement, and I always tell people it is a very involved operation because we have to containerize everything. We have to deck over, we basically have to build a structure around where we're literally blasting the old paint off to make sure that it all comes off. The workers have to go through a whole process of wearing special equipment, and they have to have their blood levels checked on a regular basis. So
Yes, sir.
it is a very involved process. It is very loud. We understand that because of the equipment we're using. Right now, as I mentioned, that's up on Kings Highway, and we're hearing the concerns of the neighborhoods up there related to the noise. That will eventually come south. Hopefully, since this is on like Shell Road by the yard there, hopefully that will mitigate the concerns of the noise, but we're always here to, do what we can to make sure that we're providing as, accommodating an environment as possible.
But it's only on the F line, the Q line or B line is not gonna be affected?
Correct. This project is specific to the F line. I've gotten a number of requests, Yelena especially about,
Yeah.
she got the mayor's office involved about this as well to make sure that those columns were repaired. And that the overhead structure was repaired. It's something that we can continue to talk about for the next capital plan.
Mhm.
It's not in this one. But the next capital plan is coming this year, so if anybody has any, feedback about things that they want the MTA to spend money on, please feel free to tell me or put it in the, contact form online.
Is there any like a website that you could provide?
Yeah, if you
Could send it to us.
yeah, exactly. If you go to the MTA's webpage and there's a contact us section, you can fill that out, but I'll provide it digitally as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so used to doing meetings on Zoom that I'm used to just putting things in the chat. Now I don't know what to do with myself now. I'm like, oh, I don't have anything in front of me. Yes.
Understood.
Do you know anything about the mitigation, how they do it?
Can
Do
you
they
be more
put up,
specific?
do they put up, some type of containment?
Mhm.
Exactly.
What type of containment it is?
Exactly. I'm not an expert in the engineering aspect of it, but we basically cover the entire station. We cover the vents at the bottom of the street. We have special containerize, we containerize all of the stuff that we're removing from the tracks. And then, as I mentioned, the workers then have to come to a special locker room, shower, take their blood levels.
I have a picture.
Okay,
of it.
It's very.
Very good. I saw it on the.
Is parking allowed underneath? Or it's not
It
allowed?
depends on the instance.
It's covered.
It's
Like a
covered,
roof.
enclosed,
They build
yeah,
a
enclosed.
There
But you
are
know-
instances where parking is allowed, like right now where we are by McDonald and by the Yeshiva on Avenue S. We do allow parking on the what is that, the east side of the street?
Okay, and you do air monitoring and
Exactly, yep,
particulates and all that type of
Yes.
stuff?
yes,
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're not coming to Brighton Beach Avenue in the near future?
no.
Okay, good.
It's always, this conversation's always a balance because people don't like when the trestle is rusted and obviously has damage from, especially over here with the seawater and everything. So it's, it's a constant battle of, us versus
Right
nature.
now, I'm going through the local law 11 work,
Mhm.
and that's enough.
Yeah.
7 o'clock in the morning,
That's
it's
a
my wake up call.
It's a horror.
Okay.
Okay, so
Excellent.
moving on.
I see that the next item is the noise reduction. Why don't we do that last? Because I think you wanted to go through the report. Just really quickly, I talked about Culver. Elevator escalator at Neptune Avenue. I think the last time I was here, I mentioned that this is we're installing the elevators in packages and bundles. And so this elevator is in bundle 8. Right now, we just awarded bundle 5. So Neptune is coming pretty soon. I don't have a date yet, but one award is going to be happening very
I
soon.
have a question about this escalator.
Yeah.
It's working escalator. Why do we need to replace it? Or are you talking about something else?
I'm talking about the
Elevator.
Elevator, yeah.
Elevator.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I must have had the next item on my,
Yeah.
Yes.
Elevator.
the elevator is coming to Neptune
Neptune.
Avenue is what I'm talking about.
Neptune.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, on the
Oh,
left line.
nothing on Aquarium West State, because it's a
Correct.
2 lines. Neptune Avenue, it's 1 line.
Mhm. It's split up.
Aquarium,
Yep.
it's 2 lines.
Correct.
Yeah.
So why the decision was to serve 1 line rather than 2 line? Okay, anyway,
Well, we get this question a lot of why do we choose this station versus that station for the elevators? The general guidance that I can give is that right now, we just have been putting in a lot of money into making sure that all of our stations are accessible. And so we're trying to prioritize making sure that there's no more than 2 stations in between each one. And since West Eighth is right next to Stillwell, that's why the decision was made to prioritize Neptune Avenue.
Sheepshead Bay is getting one, right?
Exactly.
Should be,
Being
yeah.
worked on right now.
Yep.
And,
And Brighton will be too, as well?
Brighton is not in our current list, but the plan is to make, our commitment is 95% accessible by 2050. The reason is because some of the stations you literally cannot install the necessary equipment, but they're all coming pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
and just to add one thing, everyone, you guys did put a support letter for Neptune Avenue, so that actually defeated
Just don't hold your
the other
breath.
stations.
we put support letter.
So community board.
Yeah.
Community board and
Community
community
board.
did.
And the elevated fence on the west station.
Yeah, so this is a question from our friends at Brightwater Towers about the West Eighth Street Station. If you look at my colleague Melissa likes to do this thing. When you look at the wave, there's at the edge, there's this piece of the wave that's missing. And there's been concerns of people
Throwing stuff.
throwing things and dumping
Throwing things.
illegally and
People
Yeah.
got hit by rocks.
Yeah.
I have
probably
pictures
things-
of that.
Bottles and
Exactly.
everything.
We're talking about, I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm talking about the very end of the station.
Yeah.
Right.
Where there's nothing
The
but
east
just the
end,
fence,
yeah,
but the
exactly.
fence. There are rocks, there are bottles, we have had, I have
Homes,
pictures of
construction
cars absolutely destroyed.
Mhm.
And people.
Yep.
It-
So I've heard it all. I've
Right.
seen the pictures.
It's
Uh,
real.
So
the-
is it in the works?
Yes, the conversation is still happening. We've been talking about this for a long time because
Mhm.
it's an arts,
7 years.
it's an arts and design station. And whenever there's an arts and design component to anything in the station, it
Mhm.
becomes an issue with touching it because then you're basically damaging our contractual obligation to the artist to provide that space for the art.
Let me talk first.
Since we've had our conversations, I have gone back to the stations department and basically said, let's start this conversation from square one again. Let's go through the process of, making the request to put the fence up. So it's, the process is moving. I can't guarantee any timeline of the fence going up, but right now we are having the conversation to put the fence up at the station.
Well, at least we will.
There's no design at the end, it's just a fence, so why can't they just double up the fence?
Yeah, I understand your frustration. It's, the
There is no
station
design
wall
back there.
itself is part of the art installation, which is the issue.
When you said we can submit our idea
Yeah.
for the future
Yep.
budget, our idea, should we submit it online, or
Absolutely.
should we write a letter from community board?
Oh,
Okay.
as we were talking about earlier, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So it's when we hear more from certain, when we hear more from more people, that obviously grabs, more attention within the agency, so.
And these are protective barriers that you mentioned that. the
Yes,
pilot
so as we
taken?
were just talking about, there is an issue with installing the protective barriers right now because there are two different types of trains that are going through
Uh-huh.
West Eighth Street. So we're trying to work that out. We don't have a timeline of the installation yet, but it's something that we're trying to figure out how we can have the protective barriers on both lines, even though both lines are running separate trains and the doors are in different
Oh, I
locations.
see
That's
what you're saying.
the
Okay.
issue.
And the last question that is left unsaid before the noise is Brooklyn Bus redesign draft. You said in April you will have more.
Yes, so Brooklyn Bus Network redesign, I won't go through the whole thing right now because I could take 3 hours on that, but this is our plan to redesign the bus network. I'm sure everybody, the community board is aware of it. We put out our draft plan back in 2022. We had a bunch of open houses, public events, feedback. And now what we're doing is our bus planners are applying all of the feedback that we heard, and we're gonna come back to you with a new version of the plan, and then we're gonna do the whole outreach component all over again. So we'll be doing more, we'll be at Stillwell Avenue again, we'll be going out, we'll have the online comment portal, we'll be going out to, high traffic areas and demonstrating the second version of the plan.
And when?
I don't have a time frame for that yet because
Okay.
right now Queens is, we're also doing this in Queens. The Queens bus network redesign is in the next phase ahead of Brooklyn. So we're going through all the community boards in Queens right now. And then once we finish that outreach in Queens, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna, finish Brooklyn. So I don't have a time frame yet, but it's coming this year.
This year.
Yes.
Okay. that's what I-
Definitely, yep.
This year. Okay. And Angela, you want to take it?
Yeah, noise, yep, let's go.
Let's make some noise. right?
Yeah.
So.
Safety noise.
Safety noise. So noise reduction.
Yeah.
I've downloaded reports since 2021. So they're basically all the same. They start with a description, what kind of work could be done. I'm not gonna go over this, but I studied. I really studied, tried to focus it. So what I understand, that the numbers that they given to us in terms of how much money will be spent, it's per entire projects everywhere. We have breakdown per type of works being done, but we don't have a breakdown per what is it in our community being done and how much it is cost. So when I looked at the cost, it's about the same since 21, 22, 23, it's about 156, $57 million, except on 2024, MTA projected to spend $195 million. Again, those just the numbers. We don't know how they are allocated and what is it done in our area. Now, then we can look at appendixes. Appendix provide us with a noise measurement. we see the work is being done. We don't know what is it, something is being done, but then we're looking at the noise measurement. In 2016, we had 102 decibels, in 1897, in 2298, in 2397. So there is no result. We can hear, there is no audible changes, but here what the MTA environmental group, they made a study and they're saying, yeah, there is no difference. So my question is, what was done? How much money was in it? And so we know it doesn't work. So what is the next step? What will be done in the future? Another thing I want to say that in every measurements or noise measurements, there is a little response to noise complaints, right? That's what it is. And that's will say, for example, in 23, they say 40 noise complaints were done in entire New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and that's why measurements were done. In 2021, our local group Stop the Noise collected 500 signatures and we submitted to MTA and every elected official, and nowhere it is mentioned here. And the reason why I'm asking, not just to say that the group exists, but because MTA environmental department reacts to it. So by a meeting, including this in report, there is no action there. It's like it didn't happen. 500 people complained, but it didn't happen. Somebody brought it. As a difference, there is a gentleman from Dunbar wrote a complaint. So that's a memorandum from January 18. I want to read very briefly, just stay with me. I just want to show the difference how people treat it in downtown Brooklyn and in Coney Island. On June 9, 2022, Environmental Services was contacted by Michael Dawson, superintendent and track engineer, requesting noise measurements to be conducted in the Dunbar section of the Brooklyn, specifically at the Manhattan Bridge near Brooklyn Anchorage. The request was initiated due to suggestion, not just suggestion, from Warren Barlow, a resident of 301 Fifth Street of East Newport, New York, remediate noise from trace on Manhattan Bridge. I'm going to read the correspondence, but that was in detail, the steps, who received the letter, who answered the letter, what was done after that. And what he was complaining was half of the noise that we have. So my question is, why are we different? Why 500 people didn't receive the same kind of attention as the one person who made the suggestion? And the wheels started turning.
So I will say that the response that this individual got by the Brooklyn Bridge is the same response that you would get here at Coney Island. Let me explain.
We didn't.
When we get a noise complaint at the MTA and it is related to the track, the very first thing that we do is we set up sound equipment and we set up vibration equipment. It's usually in people's basements, but in this instance, actually, it's a good example. That is both here and in the Brooklyn Bridge example, we set the sound and vibration monitors in houses. Here it was in Brightwater Towers, if I'm not mistaken.
And Trump.
And Trump, thank you. And so that is the same response that the individual got.
I read everything from.
I don't know how environmental puts this together. I'm sure this is probably just an appendix of resources.
Okay, can I see this during the next meeting, the same response to our submission?
I'll see what's available. I can't promise any
You
particular
said
sort
we'll
of
receive the
documents.
same. I want to see the same. I
Yeah.
want to see who did what. From 2022, do you know who Carmen Santa Maria is? That's really from.
Everybody in Brooklyn knows
It's a
who.
gentleman from 1970. Thanks to his work and his group Big Screech's work, now we have a New York Transit noise code. Anyway, so the work he was doing since early 70s. So our area, it's not new. We have this problem forever. We want attention. So if we tell us what we need to do. Do we need to ask gentleman Warren Barlow to write a letter, make a suggestion for us? Should we do anything else? What are we doing wrong? How do we work with MT? How we can
Change zip
because
code.
it continues forever. Decades goes by and nothing changes.
Well, I can say that because of the complaints that we got back in 21 and the results of the test that we got back in 2021, that was the impetus for the track replacement work that happened here at West 8th Street, where we replaced ties, track
numbers.
panel.
The same
I
numbers.
understand. There was, in February of this year, we had the shutdown of the queue line. I believe that we terminated at Kings Highway and we were doing track replacement work there. That work is not finished yet. And so what our plan is here, because we have been hearing the complaints from the neighborhood, we've also heard from the elected officials who wrote us a letter about looking at train speeds to see if either, if decreasing train speed would have an impact on the sound.
Yes.
That's something that we're studying.
Yes,
Our plan is that we're going to finish the track replacement work on the queue line, and then we're going to do another round of testing to see if that track replacement has any impact on the sound. I'm not going to stand here and I agree with you. We all agree with you. Anybody who stands at the corner there can hear the screeching of the trains. Nobody's arguing that this train isn't making any noise. We hear you. We have to work with the equipment that we have. The tracks are with the track that we have. We can, do things like install lubrication. We can do things like change the joints at where the panels are meeting. And those are all things that have shown to decrease noise issues throughout the city. But this is going to be a long process. We understand. And we're willing to continue to have conversations about how we can, make sure that the train is being a good neighbor in the community.
So my question is, what was done since 2021, since you started to pay attention? What work was done? How much we paid for it? Because we sent the project, we did a study, not just suggestion as a gentleman. We did a project from Chicago. We talked to engineer. We did estimate. We did a lot of work and we received nothing. Nobody moved the finger. Nobody admitted that they get this information from us. So that's why I want to know, I want to see report, what was done specifically in our area and what the plans, what will be done.
I think I've answered everything. I can provide you a write-up of everything that we've done over the last 3 years. It's something that we've provided to the elected officials who asked about the train speeds. And as I said, we're willing to be, partners here, and we'll continue to.
Let's have a group with environmental department and see
You
how we
connect
can
us
work
to
with them. Can
specifically
you
to
connect
that
us?
department.
Absolutely. I mean, they'll probably want to come into the building again. So I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Okay,
Thank you.
excellent.
Yeah, please.
Rhonda has to stop, by 8. So if you want to let her speak.
I don't
and
mind
then
waiting.
Jump
Yeah, if you
next,
wanna-
get back in if you don't mind, because
Yeah,
she has to go soon. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Sorry to
absolutely.
interrupt you.
Yes,
I'll
absolutely.
continue
Yes, she's
after,
planning to stay.
yeah,
so.
so I'll continue
Can
after.
you have her?
Yeah, some water. Yeah, I'm good.
Sorry.
Okay, we have a few questions to DOT that we sent, and Rhonda actually answered some of them.
Can she hear us? Yes,
Rhonda, are you with us?
You already asked her, she'll have to unmute herself.
Oh, she's still muted.
Yeah, but she pressed S to unmute.
Oh, she-
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
now we do, yes.
Okay, I was saying you didn't have to stop MTA. I can wait until 8 o'clock to start my segment, you might as
7
well
minutes.
finish.
It's okay.
7 minutes.
He's gonna stay.
Okay. So
So,
how do you want to do this? I can make the announcement about the study. I have that in front of me. All right.
Let's start with that, yeah.
Okay, the Department of Transportation is pleased to announce we will be conducting the Coney Island Alternative Access Congestion Study, and we'll be holding the public kickoff meeting on May 21st. That's a week from tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at the Coney Island Aquarium Education Hall. I'm sure you're all familiar with that location. The purpose of the meeting is to present the scope of work and provide an opportunity for public input. The study area is bounded by Bay 43rd Street, 86th Street, and Avenue Y in the north, Coney Island Avenue and West End Avenue in the east, Surf Avenue in the south, and West 37th Street in the west. The study seeks to identify traffic, transportation issues, manage travel demand, address community concerns, and develop recommendations to improve safety, travel accessibility, traffic conditions for all street users.
Okay,
That means-
great. Now the questions that we asked, that the question was actually joined to MTA and DOT in regards to West Sixth Street, the unmapped section of West Sixth Street. So you answered that this section is not a city and it doesn't belong to the city, it belongs to MTA.
That's right.
So we're just wondering if everybody could work together and make this a mapped maybe street, return it back on the map. So it's serviced because it's really a very disgusting area and it's really a dangerous area as well. So I don't know how you guys are going
May
to.
I speak to that?
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry, Rhonda, I know you were in the middle of your
Sure,
report.
go ahead.
Unmapped West Sixth Street, which is West Sixth Street south of Sheepshead Bay Road,
Mhm.
is New York City Transit property. That's where our entrance is to the station in the back there. We have the entrances to, there's the DMV parking lot, and so I
Right.
think everybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
We got complaints recently from the local state senator about the condition of the street. My understanding is that it's been a long-standing issue.
Yes.
Within the last 3 weeks, we've patched some of the potholes that were in the
Mhm.
street. We hung new lighting. There was concern about lighting on the street. We hung new lighting on the trestles that should provide more lighting into the street. And I got a fresh round of photographs today of some trash that had been brushed up on the side of the fence. So we're gonna send our cleaning crews out to do a sweep of the area. So that's coming soon.
Okay.
It's the issues of I know that there's always this back and forth about wanting like a sanitation truck to go through but it's not a New York City street. And I think that conversation is going to keep on going. But right now it's a New York City Transit
So-
property and we are doing what we can to take care of it. Yep.
What are the rules on the parking, on the car parking there? Because recently the car park so densely, they blocking the gate, between
Yeah.
the access to the train station.
Right. So I think you sent me a picture. Somebody sent me a picture of this.
Yeah.
And if those cars are not New York City Transit cars, so if somebody is blocking a gate or anything like that, you should feel free to call the police. They can tow that car.
What if it's a police cars? Because.
Well,
It is a
Well,
police
if
car.
that's the case, then you should notify
the precinct.
the precinct or the council.
Right,
Okay, because it's
understood.
really hard to open the gate, you're hitting the car.
If there are police cars underneath there that are parking there illegally, then we have to know.
So basically, you saying that, MTA is taking ownership of that
Yes,
particular stretch
yes.
for now. And
It's our property
so-
yep.
got it.
Okay.
So the next questions that I got for Rhonda was actually all the questions that we gathered since 2019 in our meetings. So I just went back and I looked at all the minutes and retraced all that. So the Brighton 11, you said that that's gonna be a part of the Coney Island transportation study that is coming in for 18 months, right? Rhonda? Hello?
Rhonda, got unmute, Rhonda.
That's all the questions.
Rhonda?
Rhonda, mute
Oh,
yourself.
yeah, no problem, no problem.
Just been-
Yeah, no problem. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, no, I'll stick around.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello. Maybe she stepped away.
No, she's on the phone.
No, I didn't step away. I was not able to unmute.
We just didn't hear you. My
No,
apologies.
she couldn't
No, I
unmute.
couldn't unmute myself. It was telling me that the controller of the meeting wasn't allowing me to unmute.
Okay, so we have a few studies. So Brighton 11 traffic studies, you said that in your response that is gonna be a part of the Coney Island transportation study. The
Well,
next
listen, it's captured within the study area. But
Okay.
certainly, to ask these kind of questions or to have, submit a list of questions to the community board that they, if you yourself can't attend this meeting, it could be conveyed through the community board, any specific areas of concern. But this particular location, once you sent us that letter in April, which we have no record of receiving the letter in 2019, but we received the letter on April 16th, and we did enter it and assign it a case number, which was shared. So, you know, so there's a record of this, and it will be assigned to the person that's conducting the study.
Understood. So there was a question about Brighton Beach and Coney Island Avenue that was raised by Olga Ford in 2018. So you said that it's also going to be captured in the transportation study, right?
Within the footprint of the study.
Yeah, so there was also a request for four-way stop at West 31st and Mermaid Avenue that Gloria Watkins also brought in 21, and you answered that.
Yeah, that was approved in 2020, and those stop signs are there.
Well, I wasn't sure, so I just put it in. And there was also the question that Michael could actually clarify. It was a safety condition on the bike lane near exit 6 to Shore Parkway. He was asking for clarification. Maybe you will expand on that.
No, what I said was they have the exit to the highway, they have the street lane, and they put the bike lane. But most of it's not in our district, it's in the district, the next district over.
11 or 15.
All right, whatever that is, I'm sorry, I don't know the number, but
11.
it's very tight over there. Getting off the highway, people making the left to go into the park over there. It's very tight over there. Is there anything they can do either to widen the road or shrink the bike lane?
Get rid of the bike.
Well, widening the road would require a capital project. So I don't think that would happen. Can you, I'm sorry, what's the, exit 6, it says so right here.
They have the Belt Parkway on the north side, and you have plenty of space there. I know it's a capital project, I know it's all design and construction, the whole thing, but there's plenty of space that is just grass. You know, they could probably, if they could do a study on that, maybe just steal from the highway, because they're not gonna add any more lanes. Because the bridge is in
Right,
front
it
of
would, even though it's just grass, it would still require a capital project to widen the roadway. And, you know, that would have to be funded. I can go by and take a look at that. If you want, we can arrange to meet on site, but I don't feel very hopeful that they can, I need to see what it looks like to really understand. But, so we could do that if you'd like to arrange to meet on site with Eddie, and I'll come and, okay?
And then there was the other thing, I don't know if she brought it up, but I've said this before. If they could remap Park Place behind the BP station that goes to Neptune Avenue, it would alleviate a lot of headaches on the corner of Neptune and Mermaid, Neptune and Cropsey. There used to be a street there, now the Verizon uses it as a parking lot.
Right.
Okay, it was a street. It used to be a street. It used to go straight to 19th Street.
Right.
They can make that an entrance in and make 17th Street out. I've said this before.
Right, you did.
They just need to remap. It was a street. They need to remap Hot Place. It was called Hot Place.
That wouldn't be, you know, DOT would not pursue a mapping there. If it, you know, that wouldn't, I don't even know how the process goes, because it's done through DCAS, the acquisition of streets and mapping streets that comes in the mayor's office. So, you know, I've been covering this board for 20 years, and Chuck Reichenthal had brought that up many times, but somebody would need to pursue the mapping of it, which would mean bringing it back up to DOT standards. Right now, it's built as a parking lot, so I don't know what it looks like. I've never been on that property since it's private property.
Yeah, it used to be a street.
Yeah, right.
It was a street at one time.
I understand it was a street once, and it's demapped. So I suppose you could start with your elected officials to see about having it remapped. I don't really know how that process works. It's not something that I would be involved with.
Rhonda, I'm sorry, that's gonna be like a city official? If it's a mapping situation, it should be like a city council, or what would you think?
I really don't know what the process is. You could talk to your city councilman about it.
City planning.
City
Okay.
planning.
Okay,
City planning would probably be a good place to start.
understood, thank you.
We have Craig Hammerman who has his hands up.
Right.
May I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she-
Okay, Craig, you would like to?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Craig.
So on December 17th, 2019, I had emailed you and Keith and Community Board 13 a copy of the Community Board 13 resolution that they had passed in 2019. And you wrote back July 1st, 2020. DOT had assigned Brighton 11th Street the study number DOT-445526-F1Y4. Could we see the results of that study that was done back in 2020? I know it was paused for COVID, but at some point you indicated that they did finish it. And I'd like to see the results of that study.
Okay, can you just email me that number? Because
I sure can. Yeah.
okay, sure. You can just pick back up that whole thread and send it back to us, and I'll look up what the electronic record to see what happened with that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, because it seems like we've lost 4 years now, and conditions on Brighton 11th Street continue to worsen since COVID has ended. And we'd really like to get to the bottom of this. Between Brighton 11th and Brighton Beach Avenue and Coney Island Avenue and Brighton Beach Avenue, we're looking at probably the most dangerous place in Brighton Beach. Those two intersections combined. And DOT has studied Coney Island Avenue and Brighton Beach Avenue in the past. It did a senior safety study out there years ago. It's changed
And we made
things
changes.
around. Yeah, it's changed things around so many times, but it's still unsafe. And I would love to stand on the corner with you and your planners and point out to them the various items that are confusing to pedestrians, that are conflicting between pedestrians and the vehicles. You've tried all sorts of things in the last couple of years. You put out rumble strips, but they don't hold. The street is exceptionally wide on the corner there. It actually flares out and gets wider. So the nature of the turn is very different than a traditional 90-degree turn. I can go on, and I won't waste everyone's time with this. But the bottom line is, I would love to stand on that corner there with you and Mark and Pat Singer and just go over the problems. We want to talk to your planners. So could you tell me who is actually responsible for the Coney Island Transportation Study? Who's going to be conducting this? Is this in-house? Are you using consultants? And how much money has been allocated for it?
I have no idea how much money has been allocated for it. But what are you planning to attend the meeting next week?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I'd like to be able to follow up with somebody and actually meet them in the field and go over these conditions, because, it's one thing to write it out, but it's another thing to actually stand there and experience it. And I would love for the entire Community Board 13 Transportation Committee to meet out there on site. I would love to just walk you through. Since my original letter was sent that prompted the Community Board to pass the resolution in 2019, we've actually had other conditions, safety conditions added. The store on the corner of Brighton 11th Street and Brighton Beach Avenue has a perpetual wall of sanitation containers that are out there curbside, which sanitation can't even do anything about. That interferes with visibility, and it forces more vehicles to double park at that location. And of course, we have this neighborhood loading zone, which is off in the middle of nowhere on Brighton 11th Street and Ocean View Avenue, which should probably be relocated to Brighton 11th Street and Brighton Beach Avenue, because it's not doing anything on Brighton 12th Street and Ocean View Avenue.
So it's not being used? Is that
it's not being used at all? I have an entire year's worth of pictures that were taken at random intervals that shows that it is never used. It is never enforced. In fact, in some of the pictures, you can see that the delivery trucks to the area have to double park around the cars that are using that loading zone because nobody follows the rules anymore. Including the hydrant that's in that zone, which people park out overnight. I know that's an enforcement issue, but this neighborhood loading zone is not serving its intended purpose on Brighton 12th Street. It should be moved to Brighton 11th Street, where at least it will be used by the businesses that are using that area for loading now anyway.
Eddie, has that been conveyed to my office?
You mentioned this before when it first came out, that it was inappropriate because it was near a school, and that we wanted to move it down the block on Brighton 11, Brighton 12, and Brighton Beach Avenue, and nothing has ever come of that.
Well, I don't think saying that a loading zone is inappropriate because it's near a school is a compelling reason, but if saying that it's never being used and it would be more useful a block further up, I think that's something that the people that have been working on the neighborhood loading zone project would be very interested in hearing.
So is that something that would be covered under the scope of the transportation study?
That's a good question. I don't really know, but I could bring that to the person, the people, the group that's specifically involved with the loading zones. But, in addition to it being brought up at in the scope of the study.
Great. That would be wonderful. And so we're going to actually get to meet with the study planners that'll be working on this on the 21st. They'll be there in the flesh?
Yes. They will be there in the flesh making the presentation.
And they'll be available for follow-up afterwards. Do you think we'll be able to get them out in the field at some point?
I can't risk. You can certainly make that request. I can't make a commitment for somebody else.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe if it's just you, Rhonda, you can help us explain it to them internally.
What the difficulty of that intersection? I mean, I think we're all aware of how difficult that intersection is. I remember being out there on a on-site with 25 people, including the commissioner of the agency at the time. I don't know if you were there. You might not have lived here yet.
Nope, probably didn't.
Yeah, but I'm well aware of the difficulties of that intersection. I'm a liaison. I'm not the engineer. I'm not an engineer. So I wouldn't even begin to, guess at how it could be fixed. But I think that people that make more money than I do and are, very educated on the subject have tried to come up with solutions. And I guess, there hasn't been a magic bullet yet.
Not yet, but if we keep at it, we can make incremental changes. I remember many projects that took more than one pass.
I think that, this could be follow up on the 21st when you in person will talk to the DOT in that aquarium. That would be probably the best idea that at this time. And,
wonderful.
And
thank you.
Last question.
You're welcome.
To Rhonda was an update on the Neptune Cropsey Avenue traffic study regarding making travel easier on summer weekends. That was requested by Assemblyman Alec Brook-Krasny, and you answered that it's not feasible this time. I just wanted to know that we asked a question.
It's not feasible. It's not that it's not feasible at this time. We don't do temporary road reversals on local streets. The infrastructure is not there. You'd have to, be able to reverse signals and reverse signs. And it would be like, for people that don't come to the area, it's just completely unprecedented to have reversals like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at certain times of the day. It's just wouldn't be safe without personnel out there directing traffic. So that's why we say that we know that in the past, when the NYPD has felt it necessary to reverse streets, they do it with personnel on the ground and they, to ensure the safety. So it's just not something that we can do. But again, not to sound like a broken record, this area is all going to be looked at comprehensively in the study.
Okay, great. So we just wanted to follow up on, that was made announcement on the meeting, so we just want the community to
Of
know.
course.
It was followed up. And also, I just received, as I don't know if it's a matter of new business, old business, and I'm sure that you're gonna say that it's included in transportation study. But I received a complaint from the concerned citizen in regards to the turning light from West Fifth Street going west into the Neptune Avenue. The lady wrote that there is a turning light on Neptune turning south into West Fifth Street, but it's dangerous from West Fifth Street going left onto the Neptune. Due to pedestrian traffic crossing Neptune by Keyfoot and the oncoming traffic going south, it makes for precarious situation. There's also deliveries on the West Fifth Street from Neptune to Surf. Those trucks block half the lane and jam up cars that are trying to make that turn on the green light. It's bad during the winter, but the summer is disaster on our block trying to make that turn as cars lined up waiting to get through. So I asked that lady to come actually to that on the 21st to deliver her message in person, but I just wanted for the record to know that that request was made to us.
Certainly. So I'm aware of that intersection too. Historically, we've been out there many times with NYPD and Eddie's predecessor. It sounds like what you said is that the trucks that are loading are blocking the intersection. Now that is an enforcement issue. There's not necessarily engineering changes that we can make to address that.
I know this was raised many times on this.
It was raised, and I was gonna have a meeting, and then Eddie called them and spoke to them, and the trucks are still there. They're delivery trucks that are delivering they're on West Fifth Street. Are not at they're blocking, you literally have to go against traffic to get up the street.
Right, that's what
Yeah,
she's referring to.
You do, you literally do.
Not just at the intersection. West Fifth Street is a disaster since they, completed construction there of that whole quadrant with net cost.
Right.
The trucks are all over the place. Cars are parking on the sidewalk. I've been out there a few times. It's pretty insane. But it's all really a matter of enforcement.
I'm gonna defend enforcement because I see them frequently facing those people down. I've seen them actually, and I remember, I don't know where I saw it, but I know that they did contact Netcoast and they said they would try their best.
Right.
But, people go back into the bad behaviors.
Right.
They stop, I remember I was standing there one day because I was just laughing. The cop was just giving out tickets and people were running out of CVS and Netcoast and
Yeah, I saw that too.
so it's just bad behavior on residents, and our PD, while they're doing the best they can, it can be there every time for about double parking.
When I was out there taking pictures of the behavior on the sidewalk, this woman with handicap plates almost mowed me down driving on the sidewalk.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, great. Great.
Again?
He's raised his hand.
Yeah, this is just a short one. Is it possible, Rhonda, could we get a map of the scope of the Coney Island transportation study before the meeting on the 21st? Because I sketched out the streets that you named, but I wouldn't know how to draw that out on a map. It would just be easier if we could see it visually beforehand.
That should exist. I feel like I might have even seen that. I'll try to get that for you, Craig. I'll share it with Eddie and he could distribute it to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you. That would be appreciated. So do we have any other questions or concerns?
Is it finished?
We finished with Nick because it was the same question.
I have a question for Nick.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did the study, and Angela, I think, refer to it, the decibel levels. Okay, how far above ambient sound is it actually? Because I'd like to know.
I don't have the readings in front of me, but I think you might have them in front of you. But that is readily available. I could send it to the board.
So yes, it's on this attachment that everybody will receive. It's also available online. It doesn't say this reading because it has just a memorandum, right? So the memorandum saying like the latest reading was between 94 and 97. Background usually 50, 54, like the car driving around, people talking.
So it's about 50 decibels
50.
above ambience.
Right.
Okay,
Double.
that's loud.
That's loud.
That's
really
very loud.
And on
Double.
some of the terraces, because this happening, the turn happening between the high rises. It's not a low rise, it's not high rises. So the sound escapes, bounce off, reverberates. Some of the terraces receive up to 110 decibels. It's a flying jet. It's military jet flying. So you can't even stay there.
I mean, because I face Brighton Beach Avenue with the Q train or the B train. Okay, and I've gotten used to it, but that is nowhere near that level.
Yeah, but another thing that wasn't studied is PS 100. I know it looks far, but because my kid was there, and I know that the classrooms that are facing the track, the Q track, if they open the window, they can talk. They either have to close the window, turn on AC, which is possible, but before they had AC, the teacher would stop every time she's conducting the class because the kids can't hear her. So, but there is no study, nobody measured what happened on PS 100, and I know that that's affects kids.
Because I know when I'm watching TV, sometimes I have to turn up the volume, and then it's a few seconds when the train passes by. But I know when we were fighting the amphitheater in Levy Park, we hired a sound technician because it's $10,000. Okay, and they try to maneuver it, but they still couldn't get it below the 10 decibel level at their concerts. So, but 50 and on 100 above ambient sound is quite a difference.
And when there was a concert at the Levy Park, actually, the trains were going at 5 miles per hour speed during the concert, so they don't interrupt the concert. That was actually Mindy brought it up last time.
Well, don't forget, we also had the R160s. They were a little lighter and they weren't making that much noise. But remember, we have older equipment like R46s. They make more noise because I can tell you, I can hear that from even behind me.
Oh, well, yeah, we could hear it here sitting actually. Yes. So any more questions to Nick or Rhonda? No? So we have, I think has a. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will come from D train from here to the Bronx because it took me 2 hours to get on the train to Coney Island. So I'll confirm the D on the end when the Q trains are messed up, or terminate, stop at Brighton Beach, or the B train stopping at Brighton Beach.
He takes that train in 2 hours.
I would just take the end, either the N or the D train.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Very welcome.
Oh, Nick, you left that one thing.
So
I'm sorry.
You have a question?
Yeah, I do have something. Nick, we did forget something. We did put something new in on accessibility. A lot of the new signages, it was on one of those questions you guys did, because you did ask us, you asked me, ask that question, so it was Nick. If an accessibility gets tracked. I think you mentioned that question to me.
Yes.
There is a sign now. If say like you're further back on the other stations, let's say Atlantic Barclay or JC Metrotech. It will tell you what the last accessible station, and it will tell you the transfer.
You don't wanna
connection.
turn on the copy right now.
So that's where
You
that's
wanna go
connections
vote
will
the
come in.
ambient sound level.
So,
120.
as you know, Nick, we always make sure,
got it.
Nick, you always put in a lot of those signs up.
Not me, but yeah.
You know what I mean? But we did want, cause since it's in your home
Right,
turf,
yeah.
we've been putting more signs to tell you as an
What's the next
alternative.
station?
The next, that station, and if say you have to go to Kings Highway, it will tell you to take the 68 bus down here, so. That's something just to be alert, if you see those signs, take a picture and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do we have any new business or old business? No? So could I put a motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Second.
Great, so meeting is officially over. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.